Untirta. Our goal today is to explore this topic and gain new insights. And we are here from the speakers who will say their knowledge and then experience. Without further ado, let's begin with our speakers. We will have Fidelia, Syammas, and Yani, Merlina, Nasip. Yani and Fidel, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Next slide, please. Introduction. In the era of rapid technological advancement, artificial intelligence, AI, has emerged as a transformative force across various sectors, including education. One of the most notable development in this domain in the emergence of AI-powered chatbots, virtual assistants that simulate human conversation to provide instant response and support. These AI chatbots are increasingly integrated to educational setting to support students' academic needs, ranging from answering subject-related queries, offering writing assistance, giving language feedback, to guiding research process with the growing accessibility to tools like ChatGPT, Google Bard, and other AI-driven applications. The use of AI chatbot among university students has significantly expanded at the Faculty of Education of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University, Untirta. The adoption of AI chatbot technologies has become more noticeable, particularly following the shift toward blended and technology-enriched learning environments. Next slide, please. Okay, what is AI? According to Pratikno 2017, artificial intelligence is a technology that can be used by humans as a mobile assistant like a robot, but its existence is in the form of a virtual display in a computer system. Next, according to Pankey et al. 2019, artificial intelligence offers a way to bridge the gap between data science and execution by filtering and analyzing very large corrupted data and used to be an insurmountable process. Artificial intelligence technology has become an inseparable part of modern human life. Currently, there are various applications on artificial intelligence used in industry, business, health, government, and other sectors. An example is ChatGPT, a large language model that can generate text in a way that is similar to humans. Next. Okay, using ChatGPT in education, ChatGPT generation pre-training transformers is an artificial intelligence support by artificial intelligence AI, namely artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the intelligence of a system that has been designed using technology to create a computer system that can imitate human intellectual abilities. ChatGPT in the context of education. The first is personalized learning. ChatGPT enables personalized learning by tailoring learning materials and methods to individual needs. Next, accessibility and affordability. The use of ChatGPT in education increase the accessibility of education for those who are physically or geographically limited. Next is interactive learning sources. ChatGPT can serve as interactive learning sources that help students understand the material better. And the last is assignment and problem solving assistance. ChatGPT can help students complete assignments or problem they are facing. Okay. Next. Prompt in ChatGPT. The first is set a clear goal about something you want to know or learning from ChatGPT. The second is determine the relevant context or background for the question asked. For the example, provide an explanation or creative and innovative learning strategies. The third is use specific and firm language so that ChatGPT understands what is being asked. And the last is avoid ambiguous or overly general students that can lead to irrelevant answer. And the example, what are the practical steps to improve students' achievement? Okay, thank you from me. The next material we will present by Yani. Yani, time is yours.
Thank you, Fidelia. So the next slide is list of responder responses from Untirta student. The first one is what the potential benefit or AI for student in improving learning ability is it is clear from the two responder that AI is capable of customer customizing education material to each student requirement and skill level. This modify the practice question, degree of difficult and learning speed. And then student can learn at any time for any location thanks to the is with which AI technology can be accessed to a variety of devices. This gives the learning process flexibility, and AI can help students brainstorm by offering fresh concept and viewpoint that can improve their comprehension of the subject matter. And then the second question is, in your opinion, is AI on one of the application that can help students in doing assessment in the world of education wide? From the responder, AI can assist a student in location pertinence, search, and complying the data they require for their assignment. And AI can assist students in organizing their thoughts, which will facilitate writing and argument development when applied properly. And then, AI can act as a generator of idea that puts students thinking to new heights by encouraging them to think critically and uh, creativity. Creativity. Next slide, please. So the third question: how to answer that AI is used ethically in education? From the responder, instead of doing assignment by all itself, I should assist student in finish them. Active student participation is still required because the goal of assignment to assess a student knowledge and comprehension. Even to AI can display data repeatedly, students should be reminded not to rely too much on this technology. It is critical that students keep trying to comprehend the subject matter and advance their ability on their own. And the last question is, how is the use of AI in development and developed country in the world education? From this responder, virtual tutor, adaptive learning platform, and student learning data analyze some example of how this analyze how this technology is used. This raise the standard of education overall and make learning more efficient and individualism. The application of AI in education is still relatively new in developing nation, Problem like poor infrastructure, expense, and the lack of digital literacy continue to be significant. Better positive changes have been made so with the rise of mobile access AI-based learning application that could improve education quality and accessibility in this area. And next slide, please. There are any questions?
Yes, can I ask a question? What do you know about AI chatbots, especially in context of education? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zakiyya. I will answer your question. Is AI chatbot is an artificial intelligence-based program that can interact with user through text or voice conversation. In the context of education, chatbots are used to help answer academic questions, provide explanation of materials, even as learning assistant like ChatGPT. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I will give back to the moderator. See you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Fidelia and Yani, for your great insight as for today and for answering the questions from the audience. May I read the conclusions, please? Okay, so as for the conclusions for this meeting, these capabilities are applied in education and technology to help improve and personalize students' learning, automate repetitive or time-consuming tasks, and protect personal data and school technology to the benefit of students, teachers, and administrators. The use of education technology attached in schools has become common. I think that is all that we can deliver as for today. Thank you very much. This is the certificate of appreciations for the speakers. Thank you so much for your participations, everyone, the audience and the speakers. See you next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Right, so welcome to the seminar. Our topic as for today is understanding teachers' feedback on EFL students' writing and development. And our goal today is to explore this topic and gaining insight, of course. We will be hearing from experts, speakers, who will share their knowledge and then their experience of this topic. Without further ado, let's begin it. I will be calling the speakers. We will be having Zakiyya, Rihhadatul, Aisya, and Deva, Annisatul, Adhra as the speakers. Zakiyya and Deva, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Next slide, please.
Okay, for background, I will be presenting it. So the first chapter introduces a significant in English language education. The challenge EFL students face is in develop effective skills like foreign learners express ideas in written English is linguistic, but also cultural form. This grammar and vocabulary and confidence and this skill is made harder by writing skills and management influence. It emerge as a key element in addressing this challenge. It's for revision, learning, and impact change, either positively or negatively. However, the effect of feedback vary. Some students find it helpful and encouraging, while others feel confused or discouraged, especially when feedback is or related. Furthermore, students' responses depends on their learning styles, and previous experiences. A student with a growth in, for example, may view critical feedback as an opportunity to improve, while another with a fixed mind might feel defeated. And the research aims to explore this dynamic in depth, asking how students respond to different feedback, how used during writing, what kind of grammar questions, as well as how their background influence their expectations. In doing so, the study helps to ensure more inclusive, active, and feedback practice in EFL classrooms. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, the second chapter provides a broad theoretic background on key aspects of English writing learners. They examine English in a verbal context. This often have the exposure to real-life English, which makes teacher instruction particularly intensive, culturally responsive and personalized, shown to be more effective than general correction. Examine systems where the grammarization of British in run practice. So in terms of writing skills, the chapters emphasize that writing should be thought as a process, one that will time writing or editing. Next slide. Slide. For the grammar corrections and teaching are explored depth, while grammar instructions remains works best when integrated into real writing correct than in institutions. Feedback should be specific and contextualized. Teachers who see errors as learning opportunities to deliver more and correct feedback. And finally, chapters outline different types of covers correct answer, but may faster dependency. Direct feedback promotes self-awareness and deeper thinking. Peer feedback structural supports collaborative learning. For formative feedback, when during the writing process is shown to more beneficial than feedback given on the end. And altogether, that paint a comprehensive picture of the many factors that influence everyone's development. Showing the true feedback when done only can be a powerful tool for improvement. And it's for our researchers. And that's it for me, by the moderator.
Next slide, please. Okay, so for the methodology, we use a qualitative phenomenological approach, and we had 10 grade 11 EFL students for the questionnaire and 5 students for the interview. And these are open-ended questions. So next slide, please. Now, as of the result, we have several. And for the engagement with feedback, there are active engagement and limited engagement. For example, participant 1 viewed and revised essays using feedback, focuses on grammar and sentence structure, whilst the limited engagement, participant 5 sometimes ignored feedback due to confusion, especially when it was vague or too technical. And for the emotional impact, the feedback triggered strong emotional reactions among students. For example, the negative emotions can be ashamed or sad, or these emotions reduce motivation to write, whereas the positive emotions, they felt encouraged or they also felt proud. Okay, Next slide, please. As for feedback preferences, students had varied preferences for each feedback. So some preferred writing feedback or oral feedback, and some also preferred feedback that is feedback source. Now, next slide, please. As for the grammar correction styles, some students prefer direct correction for faster learning, others favored indirect correction for promoting independence and self-discovery. And for the teacher competence and feedback quality, students trusted feedback more when teachers were experienced and gave more explanation. And as for the academic writing readiness, some students felt feedback improved their confidence, structure, and vocabulary in academic writing, while others felt unprepared due to limited vocabulary and feedback. These feedback supports growth, but student needs more practice and guidance to write academically. Next slide, please. As for the discussion, we have conducted the themes. The first, as for engagement with feedback, students responded to feedbacks in different ways. There are confident students, struggling students, and there are also teachers who should give extra support to students who lack skills. As for emotional impact, these triggered positive and negative. For example, embarrassed when corrected in front of others, and also stayed motivated when feedback is helped to grow. Next slide, please. As for feedback preferences, there are three. There are oral, written, and peer. While feedback comprehension, some students felt prepared for academic writing due to feedback, while others feel they struggle with vocabulary. Okay, next slide, please. Grammar correction, some students prefer direct and some prefer indirect, same as teacher comprehends. They mostly trust teachers who are clear and explain when examples. Next slide, please. And lastly, academic writing. Readiness feedback helps students build academic writing skills over time. Some participants feel like the feedback would progress over time. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, is there any question? Any question?
May I?
Yes.
Okay, for the question is, in what ways does teacher feedback influence EFL students' writing development, and which specific types or delivery methods or feedback do students find most effective? Thank you.
Okay, so teacher feedback plays an important role in EFL students' writing development by helping them improve their grammar and overall writing quality. It also affects their confidence, motivation, and readiness. So the type of feedback and delivery student also matters. Many student prefers written because they can review and mutably. There are also digital like Google Docs, which is clear and easy to use. There are also peer feedback because it is seen more comfortable. While spoken feedback is helpful when it includes explanation for grammar correction. Some prefer direct and others prefer indirect. It all depends on the student's preferences. Thank you. That's it from me, and back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Deva, and then Zakiyya, for your insightful and then very knowledgeable discussions. And so I think we will be ending our seminar as for today right here. I hope you found the discussions to be informative and thought-provoking. And before we wrap it up, I would like to read the conclusions first. Feedback plays a powerful role in shaping ESL students' writing development and the emotional responses. Effective feedback is not only accurate but also clear, supportive, and tailored to the learner's level. The findings from this study, supported by previous research, emphasize that the need for teachers' awareness, feedback clarity, and then sensitivity to the learner's emotional and academic backgrounds. I think that is all. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We will be having a seminar for today, and the topic of the seminar itself is the perceptions of blended learning on motivations and material comprehensions in Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University. And this topic will be delivered by Natanael, Gilbert, Setiabudi, and Faisal Yudhistira. They will be sharing their knowledge and an insight as for this topic. And without further ado, let's start our seminar. For Faisal and then Nathaniel, time is yours.
Thank you so much, moderator. Next slide, please. Okay, first is the background. Well, for the background, there are some backgrounds there are some studies to background this research. First, education system worldwide are integrating digital technologies. Second, blended learning combine face-to-face and online instructions. In Indonesia, blended learning gained momentum post-COVID-19 era, according to Barber and Reeves on 29. Comprehension is crucial for applying, analyzing, and retaining knowledge. In blended learning, comprehension is influenced by digital literacy and access to technology, quality and clarity of instructional materials, and students' ability to self-regulate and engage with content. Multimedia features in blended learning may enhance comprehension by supporting diverse learning preference, according to Mayer in 29. Motivation is a key driver for student engagement and learning success. And lastly, in blended settings, motivation can be affected by students' perception of technology, sense of autonomy, responsibility, and relevance of usefulness of learning content, according to Martin and Bolliger in 2018. Next slide, please. Okay, for the research objective, this research aims to determine and understand whether blended learning positively influence students' learning motivation and material comprehension from the perspective of its participant itself. Next slide, please. The questions for this research is first, what is the student perception of blended learning? How does that affect their motivation to learn? Second, what are the main challenges of conducting blended learning? How does it affect their material comprehensions? Next slide, please. For the literature review, blended learning is a formal education program which allows students to learn at least partly through the and instruction submitted online independent control of time, place, sequences, and the speed of learning, according to Stecker in 2012. Studies by Means et al. In 2013 and Pisiano in 2017 suggest that the use of online tools in conjunction with traditional teaching methods enhances student motivation and involvement in the learning process. Next slide. Motivation. According to Dorney and Ushioda in 2021, state that motivation is the initial force that drives learning behavior and the energy that sustains it throughout the learning process. Material comprehensions is critical element in the learning process as it reflects how well students are able to understand, retain, and apply the content presented to them. Next slide. Okay, the previous research from there are three previous research. First, from Lu in 2024, the respondents show great enthusiasm after experiencing blended learning. Second, Jones et al. In 2020, 58% of respondents report that technical difficulties, including unreliable internet, disrupted their learning experience and hinder their comprehension of the course materials. And third is from Kim and Lee. Students often struggle to remain focused during online components of blended courses due to various external factors such as household distractions and competing responsibility. Slide. Okay, first the gaps. First is limited qualitative research exists on how Indonesian students perceive blended learning. Second, cultural, infrastructural, and educational differences may influence both motivation and comprehension in this context. Third, understanding perception help educators and policymakers refine blended for learning strategies in Indonesian learners. For the novelties in the mm, next back. Okay, that's it from me, and I give it to my friend Natanael.
Okay, thank you so much, Faisal, for explaining the first half of this presentation. For the next part, we have the methodology of the research. The first one is the research design. For this topic, we will use the qualitative research method to gather our data and also analyze data. And we will also employ the case study method by examining the cases experienced by students. And then the research sample is the 10 students of Untirta English department. The students actively participate in English learning. And for the data collection, we use interview and observation to compare between online class versus offline class. And to analyze data, we use thematic analysis. Next slide, please. For the first question is about motivation. The prominent keywords mentioned in the interview are lack of interactions, technological issue, and distraction. The perception on blended learning and how it impacted learning motivation is leaning towards negative, with 6 out of 10 people stating that they're complaining about the method. Next slide, please. These are the example of the responses. The first one is blended learning is a mess for me. My Wi-Fi is always messing up, so I miss stuff and get mad. Plus, there's no real schedule, so I just end up dozing off or not feeling like doing anything. It's hard to stay in zone. The keyword here is Wi-Fi is always messing up, as explained before, technological problem, and dozing off, which is distraction. Next slide, please. A similar study was done by Lu in 2024. The result of the study conducted in FLSUD revealed that the experimental group of students showed a more enthusiastic attitude towards blended learning compared to the control group. Next slide, please. The contrast between the result of our study and Lu's study in 2024 shows the importance of technological resources in conducting an effective blended learning, as shown by the responses in our study. The main issue when conducting blended learning is connection problem. In order to gain the maximum effect of blended learning, the focus on technological improvement should become the main focus. Next slide, please. And the second one is material comprehension. The prominent keywords during the interview is boring, internet problem, and pure audio. The perception on blended learning and how it impacted their material comprehension is leaning towards negative, with 6 out of 10 people stating that complaints about the method, which is similar to the previous one. Next slide, please. And these are the responses. As you can see, the keywords here are the internet keeps cutting out and I lose focus fast. Next slide, please. A study done by Jones in 2030, which explored students' experience in blended learning environments, found that poor internet connectivity is a significant barrier to learning. And then in Kim and Lee study in 2021, identified distraction as a prominent issue. Next slide, please. Our study yielded a similar findings to that of James and Kim, revealing that internet issue and distraction continue to be the main obstacles when practicing blended learning. Therefore, it can be concluded that English learners of Untirta prefers offline class compared to online class, since it helped them to have an easier time understanding the material. Next slide, please. And that's all for me. Back to the moderator.
Okay, so we'll be moving on to the Q&A sessions. Is there any of you guys who will be who want to ask questions regarding the topic to the speakers, please raise your hand.
May I ask the questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, so my question is, what would you suggest to improve the experience of blended learning for the students? Thank you.
Okay, good question, Adhra. As mentioned before, the main issue of blended learning is the connectivity issue. Students had reported multiple times that their connection issue, the internet connection, is always hindering them from comprehending the material, and therefore making them lose motivation over time because they keep left behind by their peers because they don't have good enough internet connection to catch up with the others. And therefore, one possible solution is to install a Wi-Fi in the school or in your home in order to ensure that your connection is good. Moreover, recordings of the meeting can be uploaded to the internet for the students to view on future occasions. Does that answer your question, dear?
Yes, thank you so much, Natanael.
Okay, since that's all of the question, I will go back to the moderator. Thanks, yours.
Thank you so much, Nathaniel, for the great answers and insightful. All right. Since the answer has been answered and then the seminar sessions has been offered, let me read the conclusions for our seminars meeting for today. So, blended learning is a teaching method that had gotten an increase in the popularity in Indonesia, only recently in Indonesia. In its implementations, there are still obstacles such as poor connections, inaudible sounds, distractions, or lack of interactions. Despite this, blended learning still only received mixed reactions from the respondents, which shows that with improvement, blended learning could be an ideal teaching method that improves accessibility and then flexibility of the learning process. Thank you so much, everyone who have attended these seminar sessions. As for today, we will be showing the certificate that will be given to the speakers. It will be given to Nathaniel and Faisal Yudhistira. Thank you so much, everyone. See you next time.
All right, then the next topic is the correlation between reading proficiency and students' critical thinking skills in English Education Department Untirta, which will be presented to you by Adhra, Yazid, and Kuswanda and Cinta Gustiani. Please, the time is yours.
All right, next slide, please. All right, so first of all, I'll be explaining what is reading proficiency and critical thinking importances. These skills are essential for academic success in higher educations, particularly in English educations, as these skills are interconnected and enable students to understand complex text, concept arguments, and then evaluate informations. Some reading skills support higher order thinking, such as analyzing biases and drawing conclusions, while poor reading ability hinders critical thinking, limiting academic success and independent thought. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are the research questions that we used? First of all, is there any significant relationship between reading proficiency and critical thinking skills? How might reading proficiency impact higher education students' critical thinking skills? And then the third one is, what challenges do students faces have in developing reading proficiency level and critical thinking skills? Next slide, please. Okay, so the hypothesis that we used, first of all, there is zero, which is not hypothesis. There is no significant correlation between reading proficiency and critical thinking skills amongst English education students at Untirta. And then the second one, alternative hypothesis, which is there is significant positive correlations between reading proficiency and critical thinking skills amongst English education students at Untirta. Next slide, please. Okay, we have three bits of review, which is reading proficiency, critical thinking skills, and previous study. First of all, reading proficiency is a fundamental for academic success, enabling knowledge acquisitions and critical engagement across disciplines. It involves complex cognitive processes like comprehension and balancing and activating brain functions such as attention and problem solving. Reading activities may a variety of brain activities such as including mental processes required in paying attention, retaining details, and even problem solving, as stated by Medalia Catless and Capitan and Coirino in 2021. Reading fosters lifelong learning and possesses personal goal that by enhancing analysis, decision making, and then communications. Next slide, please. Okay, so critical thinking, it entails analyzing information to make informed decisions, inquiring questions, and then fact-checking, rather than accepting information at vast value. It enhances decision making in academic, professional, and then daily context to effective information analysis and problem solving. As stated by Ebe and Robati et al. At 2022, students face diverse challenges daily and needing robust critical thinking skills. Critical thinking is very important because it might help students to think in a very logical way and then solve problems effectively and make smart and careful decisions. Next slide, please. Okay, so as for the previous studies, students reading proficiency and critical thinking showed a very varied results that we found. Umo et al. In 224 in investigating correlations between critical thinking skills and that English student comprehension in high schools found no significant correlations between among MR pembangunan al-Fatah Kikil Jusari students with a high p-value, but noted stronger critical thinking improved reading comprehensions. Conversely, Hanasana et al. In 2022, in the correlation between students' reading habit and critical thinking skill, identified a significant positive correlation in SMA 12 Wejang Lebong students. Next slide, please. Again. So as for the methodology that we use quantitative correlation methodology, which is appropriate for measuring the degree of correlation between two variables with doing proficiency and critical thinking skills. Next slide, please. We have two variables in the dependent variable, which is students' reading proficiency, and then the dependent variable is students' critical thinking skills. And with this instrument, we have two reading proficiency tasks and then critical thinking questionnaires. Next slide, please. And the data collections were gathered from 40 semester 6 students in English department to measure reading proficiency and critical thinking skills. And then as for the data analysis, responses were exported to Microsoft Excel and then displayed as factions to 2060 for analysis. And the skill statistics summarizes students' reading proficiency and critical thinking scores. Next slide, please.
Okay, so thank you so much, Kuswanda, for explaining the first part. So I will present about result and discussions. So the first one is just finding. So the purpose of this study is to analyze the correlation between reading proficiency and critical thinking skills among Untirta English Language Education Department students. A few types of statistical tests with SPSS were run to validate the data and evaluate the hypothesis. So the first is this result of critical thinking test. Of the 40 students examined, 4 had low critical thinking skills, 13 were average, 8 were good, and 15 were excellent. Notably, no students got less than 50, putting them in the very poor category. And then the next one is, and then this is the result of reading proficiency. Of the 40 students, 6 students were in the poor category in reading ability, 12 students were in the moderate category, 11 students were in the good category, and 11 students were in the very good category in reading ability. The next is the test that we run from on SPSS. The first one is test of normality using the Kolmogorov-Smirnov and Sapir-Weld test. The data for reading and critical thinking skills are found to be normally distributed. And the next is ANOVA table. The linearity test was then used to find out whether there is a linear relationship between the independent variable, this is reading proficiency, and dependent variable critical thinking skills. And the next is the correlations. A Pearson product moment correlation analysis was used to determine the strengths and directions of the correlations between reading proficiency and critical thinking skills. The result of these correlations test indicate that students with higher reading proficiency have greater capacity for critical thinking, and the strength of the correlations suggests that the two variables have a strong connections. And The next is the discussion. So the outcome of the study reveals a strong and consistent correlation between reading proficiency and critical thinking skills among sixth semester students in the English language education department at Untirta. This finding strengthens the foundation concept that students with advanced reading abilities tend to exhibit outstanding critical thinking capabilities. The data signifies that a substantial percentage of the students have notably improved their critical thinking skills, with 57.5% of them achieving grades of outstanding or exceptional. This indicates that the majority of the students are capable of composing coherent and critical arguments, critically examining text, and effectively assessing information. Regardless of the positive outcomes, the study also highlights that some students would still be in necessity for additional assistance to develop their critical thinking skills abilities better. While many have suppressed impressive grade of proficiency, critical thinking is not a natural talent, but moderately skills that requires ongoing cultivation through consistent education and practice. The slower improvement identified in some students can be partly associated with complications in applying critical thinking beyond academic context. The tendency of reading solely for academic purpose rather than more certification for self-improvement might restrict students' ability to completely internalize and implement critical thinking skills in border. To address this challenge, facilitating a habit of reading for certifications and encouraging effective learning practice could encourage students to develop better reading proficiency. Educators and curriculum designers should concentrate on improving activities and assignment that expect students to implement their critical thinking skills to practical real-world problems. I think that's all from me. Back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you so much, Dia and Kuswanda, for presenting that topic. Next is the question and answers. Does anyone have question? Okay, please, Deva.
So my question is, how can improve to support critical thinking development?
Okay, the question will be answered by the presenter. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, moderator, and thank you so much, Deva, for asking the questions. Let me answer the questions. So the question is, how could reading instructions be improved to directly support critical thinking development? For the answer is, based on our findings, reading instructions should go beyond basic comprehension and focus more on analytical reading strategies. For example, teachers can incorporate activities that require students to evaluate the author's arguments, identify assumptions, compare multiple perspectives, and draw inference or draw conclusions. Using texts that present conflicting viewpoints and require interpretation, encourage students to think critically. And I think that's all from.
Okay, thank you so much for Gia and Kuswanda for answering that question. Now on to the conclusion. The study examined the correlation between reading proficiency and critical thinking skills among sixth semester students in the language education department at Untirta. These findings demonstrate that substantial positive correlation between the two variables, which implies that students with higher reading proficiency have the tendency to demonstrate stronger critical thinking abilities. Nonetheless, 45% of students demonstrate moderate to poor reading proficiency, and 42.5% had average to poor critical thinking skills, which implies a necessity for targeted intervention to develop these competencies. To address the problem, education and curriculum designers should incorporate strategies that facilitate effective reading habits, encourage reflective learning, and provide opportunities for implementing critical thinking in real-world scenarios. By doing this, they can better prepare for challenges and professional needs. Next. And that's all from us for today. And before we end, we would like to give the certificate of participation towards our presenter. Yeah, we would like to extend our gratitude and give the certificate of participation to our presenter, Dia, Adhra, Yazid, and Kuswanda Cinta Gustiani. Thank you so much for participating and presenting for the seminar. And that's all from us today. Thank you so much for participating, and we will see you again next time. Take care, everyone.